Ask not for whom the bell tolls. Before we begin today's ceremony, in light of yesterday's tragic and senseless event in Buffalo, it is appropriate to remind ourselves that in a world too often marred by ignorance, hatred, dehumanization, and division, this institution must and will be ever engaged in efforts toward understanding, love, humanity, and unity. Please join me in a moment of silence in memory of the victims in Buffalo and in support of their loved ones. Thank you. Also, before we begin, I would like to note two small corrections to our printed program. Mr. Rapp, not I, will introduce Kate Oliver as our valedictorian, and Kate will introduce Mr. Mangini as our commencement speaker. Welcome to the commencement ceremony of the class of 2022. It is an honor to be here with you in celebration of these 143 candidates for graduation from Mary Institute and St. Louis Country Day School. At the start of today's ceremony, I have the privilege of presenting awards to a few of our graduating seniors, as well as members of our faculty. We will begin with the Student Awards. The Head of School Award was established in 2021 and is conferred at the discretion of the head of school to a student or students whose exceptional character, contributions to community, accomplishments, and promise embody the aspirations and mission of the Mary Institute and St. Louis Country Day School. The class of 2022 has 4 recipients of this award, whom I will announce in alphabetical order. Please come forward when your name is announced. The first recipient of the Head of School Award for the class of 2022 is Shelley Baggett. The next recipient of the Head of School Award for the class of 2022 is June Brown. The next recipient of the Head of School Award for the class of 2022 is Yao Nketia. And the final recipient of the Head of School Award for the class of 2022 is Cecily Taylor. Please join me in congratulating these members of the class of 2022. I would now like to take a moment to recognize several outstanding teachers. The Dorothy Ray Roberts 1917 Faculty Merit Award was made possible by a bequest in 1988 from Dorothy Ray Roberts' class of 1917 in support of teaching excellence. One member from each MICDS division has been selected for this award. Please come forward when your name is announced. The first recipient of the Dorothy Ray Roberts 1917 Faculty Merit Award is Thomas Buffington. The second recipient of the Dorothy Ray Roberts 1917 Faculty Merit Award is Will Shockley. The third recipient of the Dorothy Ray Roberts 1917 Faculty Merit Award is Kelly Weidenmiller. The Mary Institute Class of 1940 Distinguished Faculty Award, established by the Mary Institute Class of 1940 on the occasion of its 50th reunion, recognizes a member of the faculty whose performance that year has been marked by great distinction. One member from each division has been chosen for this award. Please come forward when your name is announced. The first recipient of the Mary Institute Class of 1940 Distinguished Faculty Award is Robin Campbell. The second recipient of the Mary Institute Class of 1940 Distinguished Faculty Award is Jody Marbury. The third recipient of the Mary Institute Class of 1940 Distinguished Faculty Award is David Terrell. It is David's final year on the faculty, and is perhaps because of that reason that when I asked him if I could borrow his hat, he just told me no. It is now my pleasure to introduce Kent Rapp, Chair of the MICDS Board of Trustees and member of the St. Louis Country Day School Class of 1976. Mr. Rapp began his board service in 2015 and will complete his term as chair in June. I am very grateful to Mr. Rapp for his constant support, counsel, and optimism through the unusual challenges that these last 2 years have presented. The role of the board chair at MICDS is an especially demanding and time-intensive one, and I feel very fortunate for the level of care and commitment that Mr. Rapp has brought to this position. Mr. Rapp and his wife Jenny are the parents of Alex, class of 2005, and Andrew, class of 2008. Mr. Rapp, welcome to our commencement exercises.
Thank you, Mr. Ramey. On behalf of the Board of Trustees, congratulations to the great MICDS class of 2022. Everyone who is here today is honored to be a part of this day, to celebrate you and to give thanks to those who have invested so much in helping you reach today's important milestone. As seniors, you have led the way in our school community in a most impressive way. You are already showing great promise as contributors to the world, giving us hope for the future as you continue to rise. I cannot wait to see what is in store for you. Go forward with confidence that MICDS has prepared you well to this point in your journey. In our classrooms, you have distinguished yourselves through your own unique courses of study. At the next level, the seeds of learning planted here will continue to grow in new and exciting ways. In our community, you have learned what it means to be a part of a team and to be a good citizen with a good heart. The many lessons you have learned about character, honor, integrity, and personal responsibility will play a major part in defining the person you become. We are deeply proud of your many achievements and the recognition you have achieved in the classroom, on the stage, in the laboratory, on the playing field, and in our greater community. You have fought the good fight, worked hard, overcome fears, taken risks, tried new things, and have learned from your victories as well as your defeats. You have had fun along the way. You are better people for rising to the challenges you have faced while a student here, and MICDS is a better place because of you. Our world will forever need more smart and good people, and you will find that you now possess the foundation to build whatever future you choose for yourselves. Dare yourselves to do great things and to make a real difference in your chosen areas of interest. Never forget that MICDS will forever be your school, and we want you to stay engaged, visit regularly, and to cheer on and support your school as often as possible. MICDS will always be here for you. Parents, students, alumni, faculty, staff, and administrators, and the board believe in your potential to do great things, and we will be your most enthusiastic supporters as you enter the next stage of life and beyond. We wish you all good things in the days and years ahead. Thank you. It is now my great pleasure to introduce Kate Oliver, valedictorian of the class of 2022.
We all chose to come to MICDS for different reasons. I came for one very specific reason: math. While this will surprise absolutely no one, I can still remember the moment I was on a bike trail with my mom and I asked if I could apply. I wanted the ability to challenge myself beyond what was being offered at my previous school. In completely unexpected ways, MICDS has provided each of us with the opportunity to challenge ourselves with a variety of different paths. Hopefully, no one remembers this, but on my first day of MICDS, I came crashing to the lunchroom floor when I slipped on a nearly invisible pile of apple juice. With a stained shirt and red face, I got back up and thought about how I had started the day trying to avoid embarrassment, and despite my best efforts, had still failed. MICDS encourages us, however, to do exactly that. Try new things and take risks, regardless of whether or not we will fail. Going to school here has allowed me to chart my own academic journey. Especially in the last 2 years, I've been able to decide what I wanted to do, including creating my own independent study about how math acts in the real world. That is the beauty of going to school here. Everyone is given the opportunity to choose their own path and face the positive or negative consequences. Our class had advisors, teachers, college counselors, and our beloved Mr. George to support us in both our triumphs and our faceplants. For many of us, there have been unexpected blessings from our time here that have helped shape our experience. For me, that was sculpture. Yes, math was everything I could have ever dreamed of. But if you would have told me 4 years ago I would be an AP art student, I straight up would not have believed you. Mr. Heineman loves to remind me that I told him during my freshman year I would not make it past sophomore year in his class. Safe to say that was not the case. To my utmost surprise, it became my favorite class as we were whittled down over the years to our final group of 8. Between us, we can claim multiple collegiate athletes, the May Queen, a rocket scientist, a phenomenal baker, a fish head, and many more other identities. This is one of the most surprising paths that I chose that made my time at MICDS memorable, and I know it is an opportunity that each of us has experienced in their own way. In truth, the thing I hope that we as a class will all remember most about our time here are the little moments of kindness. I can point to many in high school, each just as meaningful as the next, when someone went out of their way to positively impact my day. I still remember sophomore year, I walked into one of my classes looking like an absolute zombie. I'd been up all night studying for a calculus test and was half awake. By the time class was over, there was a cup of an electrolyte mix on my desk to help boost me through the rest of my day. The care my teacher took to notice and proactively respond to my parent state has stayed with me through the rest of my time. I know that each of us has had this moment in high school, whether it was a teacher, a coach, a friend, or someone we really weren't close with. And it is a testament to the type of actions that are fostered through the community we have here at MICDS. As I look forward to college, my time here constantly reminds me to never underestimate the value of taking risks. That is one of the many positive byproducts that comes from having so much freedom in high school. I'm highly confident that when we as a class get to college, we are not going to be the students who fall through the cracks. We know to go to office hours, establish relationships with teachers, and reason our way out of problems, because that is what has been encouraged our entire high school career. While we might not be experts in the little things, like how to open a bank account or file our taxes, we know the intangible skills of multitasking, collaborating with people who are different than us, and taking advantage of every resource available to us. These skills are just as important as knowing that the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell, and Dr. Eckelberg was a billboard, not a person. But they will serve us better in the world we are about to enter. To say this school is hard is an understatement, but it has prepared us to take on the rest of our lives. So congrats, class of 2022, we did it. Thank you. And I now have the honor of introducing our class-selected speaker, Mr. Travis McGeaney.
Thank you, Kate. Good afternoon, faculty, staff, families, students, and of course, graduates. It was only a little while ago when the senior class president presented to me the news that I was selected as the faculty commencement speaker on behalf of the class of 2022. Although it is an absolute honor to be selected as the faculty speaker, I had to think to myself, what on earth could I share? How am I supposed to give life advice when I feel that I have not lived life myself? Writing this speech was tough, but I reflected on some of the moments that I had with the class of 2022. It wasn't until the next day in class that I caught myself going off on a secant during class. Tangent is probably the word I'm looking here for, but according to Merriam-Webster's dictionary, the definition of secant is a straight line cutting a curve at 2 or more points. But the definition of something that is tangent means it only intersects once, implying that I never go back on topic. Yes, I teach math. These secants are stories. Whenever there's a little downtime, I always have a story to tell. These stories are a collection of my own life experiences, as well as some others that I've either witnessed or heard from my family or friends. I feel that it is only appropriate to share a few stories with you today. So for the final time, class of 2022, it's story time. I want to begin by sharing a story from when I graduated high school, which is a moment many of you are living through now. I was excited to move away from St. Louis, where I grew up. I was excited to meet new people, and of course, be away from my family. It was a chance to live a new life, but with this came one of my biggest regrets. As I started to move, I decided to cut people out of my life. I wanted to start over. I told myself that I was never coming back to St. Louis, but you can clearly see how well that worked out, because here I am. When I realized that these people who I grew up with were my roots, they taught me everything I know. While I was in college, I started to miss home and the connections that I have built. During those long walks to and from class in college, I found myself they were best utilized calling family and old friends. You'd be surprised how much you can make someone's day by reaching out to someone you haven't talked to in a while. However, be wary, as a word of caution, about that one friend that contacts you and says something along the lines of, "Hey, have you ever considered being your own boss? You can make 6 figures from home and set your own hours." Graduates, this is called a pyramid scheme, and it leads to absolutely no good. But on a serious note, value the relationships you have built. Never burn a bridge. You are headed into a new chapter in your life. You will find new friends and go on new adventures, but don't forget that your old friends are still your friends, no matter where life has taken you both. As life changes, you may only find that you have memories in common. It's the only thing that you really have in common with your old friends from childhood. However, there will always be new memories and stories to share with each other. Now, a story for the parents. My father once got a piece of advice from a colleague of his named Mark Gale. Mr. Gale's son went to college to pursue a degree in engineering. After having a rough first semester, the son told him, his father, that maybe engineering wasn't exactly for him, and that he wanted to chase his dreams in Hollywood. As you can imagine, his father had many reservations about this idea. However, he decided to suck it up and give his son his full support. Within a few years, it turned out that his son, Bob Gale, did indeed find success in Hollywood. He wrote the script to Back to the Future. The important message here is that as a parent, you should always support your kids, no matter what their dreams may be. Your kids are going to have big dreams, and they're going to have great plans that might not be in line with your own. Regardless, do your best to help them achieve their dreams, and always make sure that you have their back in both their successes and their failures. I have a confession to make to everyone. I am a Trekkie. I'll admit I considered reciting a few of the Ferengi rules of acquisition for this speech, but I couldn't pick out which ones to share. But when I started thinking about Star Trek, I couldn't help but reflect on one of the episodes I recently watched from Star Trek Deep Space Nine. The premise of the episode was that one of the younger characters, Jake, experiences a spaceship accident that seemingly kills his father. Jake struggles to move on from this experience, even though he develops a family of his own. Jake eventually discovers that, through a subspace anomaly, his father was only frozen at a time. About once a decade, his father randomly appears for a few moments. Jake eventually decides to study subspace mechanics in an attempt to save his father and sacrifices his own career and family to do so. At the end of the episode, Jake is now an old man, and he's unsuccessful in bringing his father back. In Jake's final moments, he reflects on a quote that his father said to him before, which states, "Poke your head up every once in a while and take a look around. See what's going on. It's life, Jake. You can miss it if you don't open your eyes." This episode made me reflect on a conversation that I had recently with a colleague of mine. My colleague said to me, "Travis, you spend a lot of time here at MICDS. I notice and appreciate all the hard work you are putting in, but I want you to consider taking something off. I suggest you find something you enjoy doing something outside of work. You don't want to look back at your 20s and realize that you spent them all at your job." This colleague that told this to me was none other than Jay Rainey. After I had some time to consider this advice, I couldn't help but notice how this has been exhibited by many of my colleagues here at MICDS that I am so fortunate enough to work with. I've witnessed unselfishness and commitment from this great group of people. I've seen my colleagues help countless students develop into extraordinary writers, become excellent problem solvers who experience and embrace other cultures, put on amazing performances, and complete complex projects. And those who have become state champions. Graduates, your accomplishments are not an accident. The adults in your life have sacrificed so much to ensure that you have the knowledge and power to embrace this world with confidence. As I mentioned earlier, don't forget your roots. It's not just your friends, but also those mentors who have had a huge impact on your life and helped you become the great young adults that you are. Make sure to thank them. And I'm not only talking about the present, but also in the future. Keep in touch and tell us what you have accomplished. We love hearing from you, and it truly makes our day. But believe it or not, your teachers also have lives outside of school. I was reminded about this last week when we lost power to some of our campus, and I noticed that some of our upper school teachers were eating lunch with their own kids. Or a few weeks ago when I saw a colleague enjoying a special night out at the Elton John concert with their family. Or even various hobbies such as my colleagues enjoy such as pottery, reading, and running. Like I stated before, it's important to lift your head up every once in a while away from the academic work or important career that you are spending time on, because you can miss the other important things in life if you don't look up and open your eyes. Class of 2022, you are headed into the real world. I know you will all accomplish great things, but it is not going to be without its challenges. I've come to realize that we as humans will encounter struggles, but our experiences help us learn to overcome these challenges. I am positive that each and every one of you have the foundation to overcome these hurdles to achieve your goals. You are ready. Thank you for allowing me a chance to share a few stories with you all that I hope can help guide you. On behalf of all of us at MICDS, we all look forward to hearing your stories as you develop your own lives and careers in the years ahead. We wish you the best of luck. Congratulations, class of 2022.
Mr. Chairman, the MICDS faculty and administration have informed me that these candidates for graduation have completed the necessary requirements and are poised and prepared to receive their diplomas, their passports for the next phase of their lives. I ask that the diplomas be released and awarded.
Mr. Rainey, on behalf of the MICDS Board of Trustees, I hereby release the diplomas to be awarded to the class of 2022.
Thank you, Mr. Rapp. Now, Daniel George, Dean of the class of 2022, will join us as we award the diplomas.
Here we go. All right. Annabelle Abramoff. You did graduate. I can confirm that. You did. That could have been senior prank right there. I'm not sure. Aris Zainuddin Ahmed. Lawrence Alma Flay. Reagan Alexander Andrew. Shan Akbar Ansari. Nagina Arapova. Eleanor Jane Aronson. Xavier Asher. Sebastian Alexander Ashman. August Roy Beish. Selena Balch. Siri Batula. Samuel Bommel. Anna Scott Bauer. Patrick Joseph Bean III. Shelley Boggett. Sonia Bayani. Robert Nathaniel Bilderback. Charlotte Culver Bitting. Joshua Iñaki Borja. Harrison Patrick Brown. Jackenzie June Brown. Brecken Elise Calcari. Zoe Ada Carter Kunate. Aishani Chakrabarti. Zoe Nuvia Clark. Catherine Grace Cody. Caroline Colt Cooper. Basil Michael Cosmopoulos. Mary Ann Kirkwood Danforth. Kumba Taibo Giallo. Nishal D. Devecha. Lauren Elizabeth Douglas. Hallie Page Duffner. Imoyeni Lydia Ekpelu. Ian Galbraith Ellenwood. Anna Sophia Fendler. Olivia Page Ferguson. Joshua Leon Fundler. Landon Thomas Galvin. Charles Weiss Giles. Elizabeth Grace Gira. Katarzyna Isabella Gorsko. Ariane Gouda. Maya Solnalu Gralnik. Harper Hughes Graves. Joshua David Grossman. Thomas Klein Hall. Bogdan Augustus Hamilton. Nina Maria Hamilton. Zaire Rose Harrell. John Winston Hayes. Paige Elizabeth Hayes. Camille Rhonda Alexandria Henderson. Amani Micah Hendricks. Sophie Kate Henriksen. Matthew Philip Hood. Sean Connor Hunt. Shannon Cassidy Hunt. Samantha London Christine Eichen. Carson McDonald James. Justin Jan. Alexandra Elizabeth Johnson. Hannah Lynn Keener. Jacob Kaufman Kellner. Haley Ji-hyun Kim. Isabella Lee Kimbra. Noah Leslie Kleinlehrer. Colin Andrew Cook. Spencer Brian Coleman. We got it. Merritt Randolph Kuhn. Good job. Alexander Sebastian Kolchiski. Andrew Nathan Kuznetsov. Peyton Nicole Lamartina. John King Lay. Isaac Angelo Madranu Leugen. Anna Guinea Lockhead. Samuel Richard Lusgarten. Spencer Ray Ma. Mary Margaret McGuire. Audrey Michelle Mahoney. Aris Malik. Amelia Markwell. Patrick Edward Mason. Ryan Maxton Mooney. Reagan Marie McDial. Good job. Gretchen Ann Mertz. Catherine Randolph Mikulik. Mark A. Minslav. Brandon Charles Mitchell Day. Siraj Mohammed Mufti. Jonathan Lee Neighbor. Colton Carter Napier. Virginia Page Naughton. John Spoor Niedringhaus. Yao Berkaw Nkechia. Eric Nohara Leclerc. Riley Ann Noonan. Tony Miguel Nunn II. Bryce Alexander Ojeda. Catherine Pierce Oliver. Ogonovo Gabriel Onovuelaswoke. Well done, Nova. Ria Patel. Amber Laree Peterson. James Gabriel Prost. Isabel Bennett Caroga. Ahmad Yusuf Rafiq. Frank T. Ragone. Arya Amba Ramakrishnan. Alexis Ella Reeb. Olivia Jane Rickers. Oliver Blackwell Rohan. E-Man Ray. My apologies. Out of order. Yeah, sorry. My apologies. Finger on the wrong place. My apologies. Brooke Taylor Roth. I'll get it right. Eman Ray. Ronald Vincent Peñalosa Sabalvaro. Leanne Yakub Salman. Emma Ching Scally. Campbell June Schultz. Tejal Sasha Shankar. Hayden Riley Seward. Alexander Sinef. Björn Håkan Sjogren. Alden Elizabeth Small. Haley Bree Sondra. Akshara Shriram. Jackson Carlisle Strelo. Elizabeth Reed Sufyan. Michael Everett Swanson. Cecily Claire Taylor. Kaylin Taylor. Lane Orgel Tompras. James Kai Schutte. Gordon Arlen Walker III. Saturn Sky Walter. Journey Mildred White. Alexander James Winsky. Margaret Ziegler Wolfsberger. Isabel Jean Woodard. Chia Hao Jack Shu. Dan Yi. Kathleen Elizabeth Yuen. Itmum Zahir.
Dean George.
There we go. It is with great pleasure that I present to the Mary Institute and St. Louis Country Day School Class of 2022. And now, Whitney Gulick-Riboulet, President of the MICDS Alumni Association, a member of the class of 1997, will officially welcome you as our newest MICDS alumni. Make sure it doesn't blow out.
Well, congratulations, class of 2022, and welcome to the MICDS Alumni Association. We are here today to celebrate your commencement and the beginning of the next chapter of your lives. Today is a day we celebrate your potential as you anticipate what lies ahead. The future is bright for each of you. As an alum of MICDS, you have been given an exceptional foundation to head out into the world, make a difference, and seek your own success. MICDS provided the lessons, opportunities, and experiences that will serve you for a lifetime. But what likely mattered most about your time here were the people. You have made lifelong connections to your teachers, your coaches, faculty, and of course, your friends. The bonds forged here are lasting, and these friendships are really forever. No matter where life takes you, you will always be a part of MICDS. Now, the true definition of what it means to be an alum of our school may not be top of mind as you anxiously await the end of this final speech. It may not cross your mind over the course of the next 4 years either. The true meaning and honor of being an MICDS alum may not really hit you until you find yourself in a strange city and the only other person whose name you know is an MICDS grad who was 8 years ahead of you at school. Believe me, at that moment, you will treasure those connections and the instant bond it will create. Do not be afraid to reach out to fellow MICDS alums. It is a great and supportive, lifelong network. As Mr. Rapp encouraged you, we hope you will come back often, share your stories, and stay connected with the school. Our alumni are a vibrant and vital part of the MICDS community. Whenever and wherever we come together, at reunions, homecoming, gatherings across the country, or even Zooms, we share a common bond, a bond created by the wonderful and unique experiences at this happy place. You have made your families, teachers, coaches, and fellow alumni very proud. So on behalf of the Alumni Association and the thousands of alumni that have come before you, congratulations, keep chasing your dreams, and have fun.
So I'm addressing you, but my back has to be to you. I apologize. In 2004, the year in which most of you alumni of the class of 2022 were born, the English writer Christopher Booker published The 7 Basic Plots, a book that asserts that every human story is ultimately one of only 7 fundamental tales, and that our species has an apparently insatiable appetite for these few essential narratives: overcoming the monster, rags to riches, the quest, voyage and return, comedy, tragedy, and rebirth. Moreover, Booker contends that the structure of every human story inevitably follows the rule of 3, with a beginning, a middle, and an end. Although the narrative trajectory from outset to conclusion can vary, the character's fortunes can fall and then fall further, or rise and then rise further, or rise and then fall, or fall and then rise. The American author Kurt Vonnegut focused on these last 2 trajectories especially, not the straight ascending or descending linear story paths, but the up and down polynomial ones. A lot of math for you today. Going even further than Booker in his distillation of basic plot lines. Speaking to students at Case Western Reserve University, also in 2004, by the way, on the very February day, in fact, that Alex Seneff came into the world, Vonnegut said that almost every story is one of not 7, but only 2 kinds, which he called man on a hill and man in a hole. I was inspired to talk about the plots and structures of stories with you today after reading a piece in the New York Times 3 weeks ago titled, "How COVID Breaks All the Rules of Human Narrative." Its author, Frederick Kaufman, finds precursors to our confused response to the pandemic in the confused responses of our forebears to the discoveries of Galileo, Darwin, and Einstein, which were disruptive and controversial because they transformed the ways people understood the narrative structures of their lives. They changed the story. Galileo's theory of heliocentrism, Darwin's theory of evolution, and Einstein's theory of general relativity informed people respectively that they were no longer at the center of the universe, that they were the outcome of incremental change and not divine spark, and that their ideas of time and space were subjective. Kaufman wonders whether the COVID-19 pandemic is a similarly disorienting phenomenon to the extent that it resists or upends our familiar narrative frameworks. Which part of this COVID story are we in anyway? The middle? The end? The beginning? Growing up in the 70s and 80s, I would watch TV shows that often left me hanging until the next week's episode. The villain materializes from out of the shadows. The frame freezes and the dreaded words, "to be continued," appear on the screen. The pilot begins to lose control over treacherous terrain. Will the helicopter crash? The frame freezes, "to be continued," followed by a commercial for Noxzema skin cream, which I was not going to buy. Or maybe evidence is discovered at the last minute exonerating the defendant. I knew she was innocent. But is it too late? To be continued. I always thought it was a dirty trick, probably because I had more homework to do after the show was over, and I didn't really want to do it. Do your homework, stay in school. Cogito ergo sum, this is Descartes' famous formulation. I think, therefore I am. But I wonder, and it makes sense really that I would question his wisdom since his Wikipedia entry prints to 32 single-space pages and I don't even have a Wikipedia entry. But I do wonder, does Descartes get it right? I wonder whether it's not really cogito ergo sum that describes our species, I think, therefore I am, so much as it is narrow ergo sum, I tell stories, therefore I am. I believe that COVID-19 has disrupted the stories of the class of 2022, not only here at MICDS, but at high schools across the country and at colleges and universities as well, more thoroughly than it has disrupted those of any other student cohorts of the last 3 years. And I'm so sorry that it has. But I'm also so impressed with the resilience of those of you who have graduated here today, and your insistence on narrating your own plot lines when the plot lines of the wider world elude us. Emma's speech at our senior night ceremony, and then Andrew's, and then Noah's, and now Kate's today, are all cases in point of your capacity to script your own destinies, to be characters in stories of your own authorship. Rather than suspend your lives waiting for the story of this global pandemic, or for that matter, the stories of our strained national and international economic, social, and political discourses to cohere and fit into a sensible narrative frame. Those stories, unfortunately, need more time, but yours are ready to tell. As each of you departs MICDS and commences your future, which timeless human narrative will be yours? Will you overcome a monster? Will you ascend from rags to riches? Will you embark upon a quest? Will you undertake a voyage and then in time return home from your great adventure? Your parents have requested that I suggest that story for your consideration especially. Tragedy I do not recommend, but perhaps you will play the lead role in a comedy, triumphing over adversity and carrying the day. Or will yours be a story of rebirth? Narrow ergo sum, we are a storytelling species. It is humanity's singular ingenuity. We construct sense in the face of senselessness. We construct hope in the face of hopelessness, beginnings, middles, and ends. Class of 2022, may you continue to create and narrate your own. Now the tale of your time at MICDS draws to a close. Momentarily, this ceremony will conclude. There will be photographs with family and teachers and friends. There will be laughter and hugs, exchanges of kind words, heartfelt expressions of congratulation, pride, joy, and love. Perhaps a moment of reflection will arrive to you in an unexpected lull amid these celebrations. The full significance of this occasion, this point of inflection between plot lines in which you now discover yourself, might then dawn on you, the protagonist in a story that no one else can write. For an instant, you might fix your eyes on nothing in particular, gaze into the middle distance. You will try to take it in. What does it all mean? What does the future hold for our hero? How will the next chapter begin? What timeless narrative waits to be retold? The frame freezes. To be continued. This graduation speech is brought to you by Noxzema Skin Cream. For healthy-looking skin, try Noxzema. Faculty, trustees, parents, grandparents, family, and friends, please join me in congratulating this heroic cast of characters, the MICDS class of 2022, as their journeys continue to unfold and their stories continue to be told. We will conclude today's ceremony with the singing of the MICDS Alma Mater, performed by our wonderful and talented upper school chamber choir under the direction of Dana Self. This concludes the commencement ceremony for the class of 2022. Congratulations again to all of our graduates, and thanks to all of you for joining them in celebration here today. We are adjourned.